Hello and welcome. I'm so happy you are here. Before we begin, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and write a comment to tell us where you are watching from. It helps us a lot and we love to hear from you. Today, I will tell you a story in simple English. It is a story about overcoming fear of failure. You will learn many useful phrasal verbs like give up, push through, fall apart, and more. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully. This story will help you improve your English and maybe also give you some inspiration. Let's begin. There once was a man named Elias. He lived in a small town. From the time he was young, Elias loved to take things apart and put them back together. He always wanted to understand how things worked. Radios, clocks, toasters, anything with parts and wires. His mother would often find old machines all over the table. She would smile and shake her head. "One day," she said, "you will become a great inventor." As Elias grew older, his dream was clear. He wanted to come up with new ideas and build machines that could help people. He read books, watched videos, and practiced every day. While other people were going out with friends, Elias stayed in his small room, working on his inventions. His first idea was something simple. He wanted to build a small device that could turn off lights automatically when a person walked out of a room. He thought it would save electricity. He worked day and night. He skipped meals. He did not sleep well. After 1 month, he was ready to test it. But it didn't work. He checked the wires, the battery, the code. Nothing. The device was dead. Elias felt terrible. He started to doubt himself. Maybe he wasn't smart enough. Maybe this dream was too big. His friend said, "Why don't you just give up? You're wasting your time." Even his parents started to worry. His mother said gently, "Maybe you should try something easier. Get a job. Settle down." But Elias didn't want to give up. Deep inside, something told him to keep going. He told himself, "It's just one failure. I will learn from it and try again." So he moved on to his second invention. This time he tried to create a small water filter that people could use in villages without clean water. Again, he worked hard. He saved money to buy materials. He watched videos online. He asked for help in forums. After 2 months, he was ready to test it. It broke in his hands. The plastic cracked. The water leaked. It was another failure. This time he almost gave up. He sat in his room for 3 days. He didn't talk to anyone. He didn't eat much. He felt like a total failure. All that work, all that time. And for what? He looked at his desk. On it were broken parts, old notes, dirty tools. It looked like his dream was falling apart. He thought, "What's the point? Maybe I'm not good enough." But then something strange happened. A message popped up on his phone. It was from a man he didn't know. The man had seen a photo of Elias's broken filter in a group chat online. He wrote, "It's not bad. You just need to fix up the design a little. If you stick with it, I think it could really help people." Elias sat up. He read the message again and again. He thought, "Maybe I don't have to do this alone." So he wrote back. He asked the man for advice. They started to talk. The man was an engineer who had worked on clean water projects in Africa. He gave Elias some tips and even sent him some parts for free. This gave Elias new energy. He got back to work. He redesigned the filter. He tested different materials. He changed the shape. He added a small solar panel to power a little light. Finally, after 4 long months, it worked. It really worked. He took the device to a nearby village. They tried it. Dirty water went in. Clean water came out. The people clapped. Some smiled. A woman said, Now we don't have to walk miles just to get clean water. A little boy said, "It tastes good." Elias felt like crying. All those nights, all that failure. Now it was worth it. He went home and wrote in his notebook, "Don't give up. Push through, even when it's hard." From that day on, he started to believe in himself. He still failed sometimes. He still made mistakes. But he learned that failure was not the end. Failure was a part of the process. He went on to set up a small company. He made more water filters and sent them to villages in different countries. He started to speak at schools. He told young people, "Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid to stop trying." Now people call him a great inventor. But Elias always says, "I am just someone who didn't give up." Let's stop here for a moment. Did you hear all those useful phrasal verbs? Give up. To stop trying, push through. To keep going during hard times. Set up. To start something, like a company. Fall apart. To break or become very bad. Stick with it. To continue even when it's hard. Get back to. To return to doing something. Come up with. To create or think of an idea. Work out. To succeed or function properly. Walk out. To leave, look at. To examine or see put together. To build something from parts. Take apart. To break something into pieces, to study it. Fix up. To repair or improve. Settle down. To live a quiet life, usually with a job and family. You don't need to memorize them all now. Just listen to the story again and again. Over time, they will become natural to you. Let's continue with the story. One day, a young woman named Lila wrote to Elias. She was a student of engineering. She said, "I want to invent things like you, but I'm afraid. I don't think I'm smart enough." Elias wrote back, "I used to feel the same way, but I learned that being smart is not everything. The most important thing is not to give up when things go wrong." He told her, "When my first invention failed, I felt like a fool. I almost walked away from my dream. But I didn't. I pushed through. I kept learning. I asked for help. I made mistakes. A lot of them. But I stuck with it. And now I help people." Lila wrote back, "Thank you. I will try. I won't give up." And she didn't. Today, Lila works with Elias in his company. She says, "The fear of failure never goes away, but now I know it doesn't have to stop me." So what can we learn from this story? We learn that everyone fails. Everyone makes mistakes. Even the most successful people started with fear. They just didn't let the fear stop them. They faced it. They learned from it. And they kept going. Maybe you are afraid too. Maybe you are trying to learn English and it feels too hard. Maybe you made mistakes and now you feel shy or scared. Don't give up. Keep going. Listen to stories. Practice speaking. Learn little by little. Even if it's slow, even if it's hard, stick with it. You will improve. You are already doing something great by listening to this story. You are learning. You are growing. And that's what matters most. As Elias leaned back in his chair that evening, he reflected on how far he'd come since those first failures. He remembered the silence in his workshop when the light switch invention had died, the way his shoulders had slumped, how his heart had pounded with disappointment. But he also remembered the thrill of hearing those first drops of clean water drip through his filter, the smiles on villagers' faces when they tasted water that wasn't bitter or brown. It was in that moment he truly understood that every setback had been a stepping stone, every mistake a lesson. He told himself that evening, "I will never stop learning. I will never stop trying." Weeks later, news of his work reached a small technology magazine. A journalist named Mr. Patel wrote an article called Young inventor pushes through failure to bring clean water to the world. The article used phrasal verbs all over the place. He gave life to a new idea. He didn't give up. He pushed through every obstacle. He built up a team. Reading it, Elias felt proud and a little surprised. He had not expected to see his name in print so soon. When he read "built up a team," he paused. He realized that, yes, part of his success now was that he had asked others to help, and they had answered. After the article appeared, invitations poured in. A university in another country wanted him to give a talk. A nonprofit asked him to work on a solar-powered water pump. A school invited him to mentor students. Every request made him think, "Am I ready for this?" But he remembered his own fear when he first started. He thought back to what his mentor had said. If you don't step out of your comfort zone, you'll never grow. So he said yes. First, he traveled to the university. He stood in a large lecture hall filled with students and professors. His hands shook as he approached the podium. He took a deep breath and began to speak. He began with the story of his first invention, the device that failed to turn off lights. He used simple English, and he used phrasal verbs. I wanted to give up. I wanted to walk away, but I chose to push through. I asked for help, I fixed up my design, and I came up with something better. He saw nods in the audience. Some students whispered to each other, "He's just like us." When he finished, the hall erupted with applause. That night, as he lay in his hotel bed, he realized that by sharing his story honestly, he had helped others face their own fears. Next, he flew to a small village in a desert region where people had no easy access to water. The local nonprofit had set up a workshop and they asked Elias to help improve the water pump they were using. The pump was old, heavy, and often broke down. When Elias arrived, he saw a group of men and women pushing the pump handle up and down in the scorching sun. Their clothes were dusty, their faces tired. Elias introduced himself. He said, "I want to learn how it works. Can you show me?" They let him over. He spent hours taking the pump apart. He took out bolts, opened the metal casing, examined the gears. Then he sat with them under a small tree and sketched new ideas. He used phrases like, "Let's try to lighten up the handle. Let's cut down on the metal parts. Let's set up a spring mechanism." They worked together. By evening, they had built a prototype of a lighter handle and a simpler valve. They tested it, and water flowed smoothly. The villagers cheered. One of the men said, "You came to help us, but we learned so much from you." Elias smiled and replied, "No, we learned from each other." As word spread, more engineers reached out to Elias through email and social media. Some offered new materials. Others offered to help test his inventions in different climates. Suddenly, his small workshop felt too small. He realized he needed to set up a proper lab, hire a team, and scale up production. He found a small warehouse near his hometown, and with a loan and some investors, he took over the space. He set up benches, ordered tools, and hired 2 engineers and a workshop manager. The workshop buzzed with energy. They worked out problems. Together, broke down complex tasks into simple steps, and built up new models of filters and pumps every week. One afternoon, a package arrived from Lila, a young engineer who had once been too afraid to try. Inside was a small drone she had built to inspect water pipelines from above. She explained in her note, "I wanted to give back. You taught me to push through. Now I want to help you push through too. Use this drone to check pipelines in hard-to-reach places." Elias felt a lump in his throat. He carefully took out the drone and powered it up. It whirred quietly, and its camera lit up. He called his team together and said, let's give it a try. That day, they learned to fly it, calibrate its sensors, and integrate the data with their water system maps. It was another small victory, but it was proof that his work was growing beyond himself. As the years went by, Elias's reputation grew worldwide. He spoke at international conferences, met with government officials, and advised global organizations on water access. But every time he stepped onto a big stage, he remembered his first failures. He still used the simple phrasal verbs that had guided him. Don't give up, push through, stick with your vision. In interviews, he always emphasized that real progress came from small steps, daily practice, and the willingness to learn from mistakes. One evening, as he closed up the lab, he saw a message on his computer. Dear Mr. Elias, I'm from your hometown. I watched your talk online. I want to start learning engineering, but I have no money for school. Could you help? Elias looked at the message for a long time. He thought back on his own struggles, how hard it had been to afford parts, how lonely he had felt when no one believed in him. He decided to launch a scholarship program. He set aside a portion of his company's profits to give out grants to promising students with big ideas but small budgets. He called it the Push Through Scholarship. The first year, they received hundreds of applications. Elias and his team sorted through each letter, looked over every project proposal, and picked out 10 winners. They invited them to the lab. The students came from all walks of life. Some had ideas for new solar chargers, others for low-cost medical devices. Elias sat with each one, listened to their dreams, and offered advice. When he looked into their eyes, he saw the same mix of excitement and fear he had felt. He said, "Remember, failure is just a step. Fall down, get back up, and push through." In that moment, standing in the bright workshop surrounded by hopeful faces, Elias felt the full circle of his journey. He had started alone, tinkering, in a tiny room, afraid to fail. Now he led a team, mentored dozens of inventors, and helped bring solutions to communities worldwide. Yet nothing had really changed about how he thought. Failure was not a stop sign. It was a guidepost, pointing him toward better ideas. So, dear viewer, what can you take from Elias's story? Perhaps you are learning English and you feel stuck. You try new words, practice phrasal verbs, and sometimes you feel like you will never master them. Maybe you make mistakes in pronunciation or grammar and feel embarrassed. Remember, every error is part of the path. Every time you practice, you build up confidence. When you don't understand a sentence, you ask someone to go over it with you. When a word doesn't make sense, you look it up and come back to it. When you feel like giving up, recall the words. Don't give up, push through, stick with it, and, like Elias, you can set up your own learning plan. You can build up your skills bit by bit. You can reach out to others, teachers, friends, language partners, to help you work through difficulties. You can fall back on resources like videos, podcasts, and stories. You can carry on even when it's hard. Now, I'd like you to pause and think. What is one thing you've been afraid to try? It could be speaking with a native speaker, writing an email in English, or reading a book without translating every word. Pick one, write it down, and make a small plan to tackle it this week. Maybe you will start by learning 5 new phrasal verbs. Maybe you will record yourself speaking and play it back to practice pronunciation. Or maybe you will join an online language group and introduce yourself. Whatever it is, tell yourself, I won't give up. I will push through. Thank you for listening to Elias's journey. Thank you for taking the time to learn with us today. If you found this story helpful, please like this video, subscribe, and comment below to tell us where you are watching from and what small step you will take this week. Your words will encourage others in our community. Remember, every great achievement starts with a simple action. Every inventor, every successful person, once stood where you stand now, facing fear, facing doubt. They just chose to carry on. Now it's your turn. Go ahead and push through one step at a time. Your success story is waiting to be written. See you next time, and happy learning.